And that lake is about empty. Stick around, guys. Alright, so just got done picking up the trailer, and on my way home decided to stop and show you guys a little something about this particular lake. Now this is a lake that I've actually spent a lot of time on throughout my years. Now this is Shasta Lake in Northern California, and if you look over there, I'll try to get a better shot for you guys. As we come up here, this is one of the 4 arms that feeds into Shasta Lake, and this is actually the main arm. This is actually the Sacramento Arm that starts north of here, from the bottom basically of a point in Mount Shasta City, and basically kind of comes out of these rocks. I think I even have some video here that I'll show you. So it starts from under the rocks, and it starts from up north, works its way down here into Lake Shasta, and then ends up feeding into the main part of the lake, along with 3 other arms, which we have the Squaw, there's also the McLeod Arm, and also the Jones Valley Arm as well, which that's another arm that feeds in here. So there's 4 arms that feed into the main part of Lake Shasta, and right now it is super low. As you can see, the tree line up there is actually where the full line would be, and that would be an elevation of about 1,067 feet. And right now we're at 150 feet down approximately on the actual lake level. Now right now this particular arm is basically empty, but the rest of the lake is still got plenty of water into it. As far as the locals are concerned, we have plenty of water, but the travelers that come by, they actually see this, and because that is Interstate 5 right there, and so they think the lake is empty because they only see a small part of it. But if you go over the I-5 bridge that goes over Bridge Bay and the main part of the body of the lake, that is actually where you will see that there's a lot more water in it. Now, it has been lower than this before, but I have seen it come from 150 feet down, and in one season it is almost full pull again. But one thing that is nice, when the lake is low like this, it gives all kinds of exploring opportunities. There's a lot of things that happen to start surfacing. There's little parts of a town that used to be in the lake called Kennett, which you'll never really see that's way too low. But that also gives you areas like this to camp on and stuff. You can camp here for a small fee, and depending on your skills, there's a lot of different areas you can go and the type of rig you have. I could take my 5th wheel into a lot of different places along this shoreline here on this side of the lake. If you're a beginner and you're towing stuff, I don't think I'd recommend taking a vehicle of this size down the windier road, which is, it kind of comes down from this way over here. But any kind of more experienced people, you could bring a rig this size and probably feel comfortable. But for the newer people, I don't know if I'd come down here just yet. Get some miles under your belt, and that'll probably serve you a little bit better to come into places like this. But when the lake is full, this is a great place to come down and camp, just as long as the water level is down a few feet. Now, some of the cool things that you will see when you do come out here is that there are old train tunnels that you can go and explore. Not to mention just cruising the shoreline, you can find all kinds of little hidden treasures, obviously of things that have fallen out of boats and more. But they also have other kinds of parts of the railroad that is still visible. There is actually a rail car that is upside down that happened to crash. I believe it was like 1914. It's been a long time since I read the article, but a train derailed. A couple of the rail cars went into the river that's actually not far from this particular spot. I believe it's just a little bit south from here, and ended up being to where it was covered in mud. Obviously, they never were able to regain much of it, so it ended up being there forever. And now that the lake is low, we can actually see some of these old pieces of the train car and other parts of the relic of the railroad that are still around. So it's kind of neat, like this bridge that is passed by tons of boaters all the time. They always go and explore it when the lake gets down, so that's one of the benefits of the lower water levels. This is obviously going to be more of your off-grid camping stuff because there are no services over here. There is actually a little campground that's just right up the way, about 500 feet, that does have some water, but that's about it. It's really more of a tent camping or super small trailers or just camper van stuff. But that over there is Lakehead. But yeah, so on my way home, decided to stop by. after I got this thing mostly home, which I picked this up just south of Portland. So that was a good buy on this particular unit. And this is a 2021 Jayco Eagle Ht. Now, the HT stands for half-ton towable. I would never tow this with a half-ton because it is too heavy right off the bat. Tow weight, sure, maybe some half-tons could do it, but your payload is going to be overweight pretty much as soon as you load this thing up and load up your truck and everything. So I'm not really sure why they even call it an HT, because this is a heavier fifth wheel overall. It's not as heavy as some of the other main classes and stuff, because it is kind of their lighter weight, but it's still built pretty tough, and it is pretty heavy for just the size it is. It's about 35 feet total, maybe a couple inches under. Well, I hope you guys liked this short video. Be sure to check out the next one on the walkthrough of this guy.